Hello, friends, and welcome back to Fountaindale Library, Faraway Places at Your Fingertips. This is our monthly homeschool program that we are so excited about. And this month, we are visiting the Republic of Panama. Now, if you stopped by the library to pick up your bingo cards, this would be a great time to get them out. There's always two ways to play. One is you can play along with the slideshow, two is you can play along with each other afterwards. So let's get started. First, we start out with our world map. And I just want to remind you that there are 7 continents. There's North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, and way down here is Oceania. You can see from our little arrow over here that Panama is actually kind of exciting because it's transcontinental. It is partly in North America and partly in South America. It's a dividing line. So we can say that it covers North America and South America. If you were in Chicago, the best way to get to Panama would be to be fly. You would have to go all the way through Mexico and through a couple other countries. So the best way would be fly, or there are some cruise ships that go to Panama. Well, let's take a look up close. Panama, another word for Panama is an isthmus. So you can see that it's at the very bottom of the North American continent and the very top of the South America. It's a very thin piece of land in between two big waters. We call it an isthmus. We say it's transcontinental. And to one side is the Gulf of Panama or the Pacific coast side. To the other side is the Caribbean Sea of the Atlantic Ocean. That would be on the east side. Panama has 10 provinces and 3 indigenous regions. And then way down near Panama City, the capital, is they have 1,500 islands that are part of Panama, but 365 of those islands are called the San Blas Islands, but only 49 are actually inhabited. Now, a little bit about their politics. They are a presidential representative democratic republic. So the president is the head of the country and the head of the government. The current president is Nito Cortizo. I hope I'm saying that right. The current vice president is Gabriel Carrizo. And the very interesting thing, they hold elections every 5 years. You need to be 18 years old to vote. But the very, very interesting thing is that a president, much like our president, can hold the office of presidency twice, but it cannot be consecutive. He can't hold it once right after the other. He can be president, someone else has to be president, and then he can be president again. So that's a very interesting thing to know about their office of presidency. We have the flag, you can see just like the American flag, it's red, white, and blue, but not set up the same way. The blue is the blue star represents purity and honesty and the Conservative Party. The red star stands for authority and law, and the Liberty Party. So it's beautiful. Now, we always talk about the language. They speak Spanish. We'll learn why they speak Spanish a little bit in a little bit, but let's just practice our language, if we will. We've talked about the Spanish language before. This should be pretty easy. To say hello, how are we going to say that? Hola. To say goodbye, that's pretty simple. Adios. Please. Por favor. Don't forget we have to beg a little bit. Please, por favor. For a favor is always how I remember how to say that. Por favor. Thank you is gracias. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Make sure that you're always extra thankful. Muchas gracias. Yes is sí. And like most countries or a lot of languages, no is just no. We know that not in every country, but a lot of languages, no is just no. All right, a few fun facts. The word, some say the word Panama comes from the native word meaning either abundant fish or abundant butterflies. I don't know if you remember us talking about in the past that the migration of monarch butterflies, especially, they go down in Central America. They leave here when it gets cold. So they go to Mexico, but I'm sure some head on down to the Panama area too. Also, if you draw a circle with your finger, that means coming right back, coming right back. So, and then another fun fact is after a 9-year expansion in 2016, the Panama Canal doubled its size. So that's kind of a fun. We're going to talk about the Panama Canal in a little bit, but in 2016, it doubled in size. Now, we always like to take a little walk through history, finding out a little bit about our country. In 1502, Christopher Columbus came across the Atlantic Ocean from Spain. We've talked about that a lot. He landed in a lot of the islands. He also landed in Panama. And so we might want to say he discovered Panama, but Panama was there and people were living there. But he discovered it for the European world. Um, that was 1502. Fast forward to 1821, and Panama declares its independence from Spain. They want to be independent from Spain, and they join a group called um, the Grand Colombia. That is Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. Now, let's fast forward again. In 1914, they finished that Grand Panama Canal for the first time. We'll talk about that later. Then, but that was part. The U.S. helped in that, and the U.S. when they weren't part of Spain, to keep them safe, the U.S. had a big part. They were called a protectorate. Now, in 1939, Panama was no longer a protectorate protected by the United States. In 1968, Omar Torrijos was a commander of the army and he seized control. There was a coup and he became kind of a dictator, if you will, of Panama. After he died, Manuel Noriega takes even tighter control, and we really called it a dictatorship. The military rule ended and the president took over. Um, and in 2006 was when the voters decided that they would pay for the expansion of the Panama Canal. So just wanted to talk a little bit about that. Now, I told you there were 10 provinces and 3 indigenous regions. There were obviously people in the Panama area before Christopher Columbus came over, and those indigenous groups of people have retained many of their customs. We see the largest people group today. They hold a very significant place in Panama. And when we get to our craft time, we're going to be doing something representing these people. Kind of excited about that. Now, you can see Panama. We talked about it was an isthmus. We got Costa Rica to the north or to the west. We got Colombia to the east or to the south. Super excited about that. There's a couple of really fun things to talk about. Because it makes that curvy line, one fun fact is that you can watch the sun rise on the Pacific Ocean. We usually see the sunrise to the east on the Atlantic Ocean, right? And we can see the sunset on the Atlantic Ocean. We usually see the sunset on the Pacific Ocean. So just kind of fun. And it's because it makes that curve. Now they have rainforests, mountains, and beaches, all sorts of different kinds of terrain. So this is just a few picture from the rainforest. You see the waterfalls, you see a lot of the rainforest animals. Super excited about those. I encourage you to go online later on and look up the animals of the Panama rainforest. They're just beautiful, and people go there on purpose just to see some very spectacular animals. Moving on to the mountains, they have some very fabulous mountain ranges. You can see over in the corner, that would be an anteater. They also have some beautiful flowers in their mountain area and some exquisite indigenous animals. Finally, the beaches, the white, sandy, beautiful beaches. We can't forget the specific marine life that's also kind of specific to that warm but salty ocean area. Um, Very, very beautiful white sandy beaches. People go there for a vacation. It's a hot vacation spot. Very, very beautiful. So I encourage you, look it up, look up those animals, look up those um, special vacation spots. Very, very exciting. Now, moving on, the capital is Panama City. There, you can see right here that they have an area of town that represents their history, and they've kept that kind of the old look. But then they're a very modern city and very beautiful. Panama City is on the west side of Panama, and when we talk about the Panama Canal, the west entrance or exit, if you will, of the Panama Canal is in Panama City. Um, the old portion has lots of old churches and stuff. Now we're going to move on and talk a little bit about the Panama Canal because you cannot talk about Panama without talking about this fabulous canal. And prior to the canal, if you were bringing anything from Europe by ship over to the Americas, whether North America or South America, if you needed to be on the west side of the Americas, you had to cross under the the South American continent and then come back up. It took forever. So Panama has the smallest amount of land between the two oceans. So they built a canal, a river, if you will, to go from one side all the way down to the other. Now, basically, as far back as 1534, when Christopher Columbus first got here, they started talking about it right then. That would be 500 years ago. They were talking about building a waterway from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. But just talking about things doesn't get anything done. Later on in 1788, Thomas Jefferson, you recognize that name from American history, Thomas Jefferson also proposed. He said, we need to get a canal between the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean. Panama is the best place. Oh, still nothing happened. Now, fast forwarding a little bit, 1881 to 1894, the French government actually starts building the canal. They're like, we're going to get this going. We're going to make this happen. Except for that they were not very successful. They gave it a shot. They put lots of people on it. You can see a lot of the drawings of or the photographs of when they were starting, but the French, they had a really hard time. So in 1904, President Theodore Roosevelt, he decided it is time. We need to get this done. French can't get it done. The U.S. is going to make this happen. So um, the U.S. took over. They took over the canal property. They inherited the French's depleted workforce, a jumble of the poor condition buildings, but they decided to take it on. They did a bit of a redesign. There is a water level difference between the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, so they had to do some very special things. Now, some of you have probably studied locks and dams. A lock is when you're bridging two separate water levels and you want to bring a boat through. Let's say that on the lower level side, you come in, you close the lock up. You can see the locks in this picture right here. This is a looking down version of it. You close in both sides and you raise the water level, and then the ship can sail right out. It's tricky, but it's beautifully when it works. It's a beautiful way to get a boat from here to there when the water level. Obviously, you can't go over a waterfall or you can't go up a waterfall. So this is how it gets done. Um, so a series of locks and dams make sure that the boats that go through are very, very safe. Um, the first, so there were sister ships, and they had the first unofficial um, passageway through and the first official. So the SS Tremont was the first unofficial ship through the Panama Canal, and then the SS Ancon was the first official. Now, you probably don't know this, or you probably haven't thought about this, but you don't get through that canal just because you want to go. You have to pay lots and lots and lots of money. It's like buying a ticket to cross a bridge, paying the tollways here in Chicago. So, 3 years ago, it cost $2,000 for a small yacht, like a personal boat, to pass through the Panama Canal. For a cargo ship, it could cost as much as $1.2 million, including tug fees and all sorts of things, to get through the Panama Canal. The prices, first of all, they're constantly changing. And also, it also depends on your cargo, your size, how much help you need to get through, how many, going through the locks, all those things. So you can't just put a single price on how much does it cost to get through the Panama Canal. But 3 years ago, it was anywhere from $2,000 to $1.2 million to get through. So I don't think any of us are going to be taking a swim and trying to get through there anytime soon. But it certainly would be beautiful to go see, and we would love to just be a part of what it looks like to go through. So um, it's a very, very interesting part of Panama and something. Now, I told you about the expansion in 2006. So the US made it, they got it through in 1914. It took quite a few years. But then when Panama took control of it, their citizens actually paid for the expansion, and they are in total control of the canal as of now. So, like I said, it ends at Panama City, where you head back out into the Pacific Ocean, and it saves boats from having to go all the way down under South America and across to Asia. Well, friends, I have talked for a very long time, and I think it's time for you to hear from Miss Debbie about some special books about Panama.
Thanks, Miss Kathy. Miss Debbie's here today to give you my book recommendations. And you know how sometimes I have trouble deciding on just one, and this was one of those months. So um, I picked a book on Teddy Roosevelt. You know how much I love my biographies. Miss Kathy told us that the United States we oversaw the Panama Canal, and he was our president during that time. And he did lot of wonderful things for our country. So he's a great president to check out as far as a biography goes. I also found a book on Mariano Rivera, one of their premier baseball players. So I checked that out. And then you know how I love our folk tales. So I found one on Egipto, and it's about a bunny that outfoxes a lot of people. It's really kind of fun. And then this one, Hands of the Rainforest, is about some people that um, take the wonders of the rainforest and they create wonderful things for the community. So it's really a really heartfelt book and stuff. So I would recommend these. You know, do some research, get some books on hold, come in, and of course pick up our craft kit. So for our craft, we're going to be doing a mola. This is an art that originated in Panama, and it's reverse appliquing. So you start from the bottom and you reveal the different colors as you add layers to it. So as you can see from our craft up here, we're going to be doing this with paper, and we're going to be making a fun mask. And I'll show you this a little bit closer up at our craft table. Let's go over to the craft table, kids. Okay, kids, before we get started with the craft, I did want you to look at this mola a little bit closer. Do you see how the colors come through the holes? That's because they put fabric behind there, and then they put the next layer over. So that's what we're going to try to do with our craft, is reconstruct this Panama art form. Only we're going to do it with paper. So when you came to the library to get your kit, you're going to have the instructions and 7 pieces of cardstock with varying pictures of the mask on it. Now what's important to remember about this is that they have a page number kind of on them, they're numbered, and the shaded areas. The shaded areas are what we're going to cut out, and then we're going to layer them accordingly. So remember, this is kind of what we're looking for in the end, and I'm going to leave this here so you can kind of see. So So all the pages are different colors. They won't match up. So always look for the page number. So in this one, this is the shaded area, this little piece here. So what you're going to need is some glue sticks, something to poke so you can get started, cutting with your scissors, okay? So again, the shaded part is the piece we're really looking for. So I'm going to poke it with my pen a couple of times. And I am going to cut out the shaded part. Now, as you progress through your stack, you're going to see that there's going to be more and more to cut out. Okay, so we're done with page 1. Page 2, there's more shaded areas, aren't there? Okay, so we're going to push our pinholes in. I kind of like to do this part first, just so I think about all the areas that are shaded, but you could do it one at a time. I'll put a big hole in that one, didn't I, kids? Let's start with that one because it's going to be kind of easy, isn't it? And like I said, it's kind of fun to see the different shapes and how they're going to cut out. I'm doing the 2 hardest ones here first. The rest of them get to be bigger pieces and they're more fun to cut. And the eyeballs get bigger every time too. This one here. We've got 2 more. We got this little bitty one here. It's good to have a pointed scissors so that you can make those turns. And this will be the last one, which is what we started with in our first one, wasn't it? Was the little mouth. Okay, so this is our page 2. And we cut out all the shaded areas. So what I went ahead and did was cut out the rest of the pages. So you poke your holes in this one. That's page 3. You see page 4. All these different pieces look something like that. Then page 5, you see how the pieces get bigger each time? So it looks like that. And then page 5. Oh, page 6, I'm sorry, we're on page 6. So on page 6, you're going to cut everything that's shaded there, just that one big piece. And then this one, page 7, you do all the little Ripley cuts. Okay, so then we're all done with that. I'll get my pieces straightened around here. So then we come back here, and we have our page 1 on top, and it says, so you put your layer 1 down, and you're going to take your glue stick, and you're going to glue. You're going to glue that on top of layer 1. And you see how the purple comes through the holes that you cut? Do a little bit better job than I did there. And then we're going to take layer 3. And we're going to layer that onto layer 2. And you see how the orange, we still see the green and the purple. Okay. Then we're going to take layer 4. You take your time and glue this. Put a lot more glue on it than what I'm doing. I'm just doing it for demonstration purposes. You see how all the different colors come through? This is number 5. There you go there. Oh, looks like I missed a couple, didn't I, and stuff. So don't forget that one, okay? Don't do what I did. Make sure you double check yourself every time to make sure you're all there. There's number 6. And then see how each layer gives a different dimension to it. And then there is our number 7. Okay, so this is an original art that comes directly from Panama called Mola Art. And I hope you enjoyed doing the project, and we'll see you next month. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you, Miss Debbie. I just love the crafts that she brings to our homeschool program. Raise your hand if you love the crafts that you do for homeschool and the books. Thank you so much for joining us for Panama. I hope you learned a little bit of something. I hope you go online and learn so much more. Next month in April, we're going to be visiting in honor of the Summer Olympics and all the wonderful things that Japan is known for. We are visiting Japan. I can't wait to share with you. Love you. See you real soon and come see us in the library. Send us pictures of your crafts and we'll see you real soon.